Welcome back, viewers, to the latest researches and news. We have 4 critical updates as Ethiopia moves closer to full-scale war. First of all, about Fano officially rejects Ethiopia's national dialogue, calls it a propaganda exercise by a genocidal regime, warns those participating as Amhara representatives that they will be held accountable. Second, about Ethiopian state media has launched an all-out propaganda war against the Tigray People Liberation Front. Over 10 programs in 48 hours. What does this media blitz mean for what comes next? After that, we will update you that Tigray People Liberation Front leaders across Tigray are delivering one message: fight or be erased. Mobilization is nearly complete on both sides, and in last a major Ethiopian opposition media channel has gone silent. Is it technical, or is the Prosperity Party reaching across borders to silence its critics? Viewers, the Amhara Fano national movement has issued a formal statement rejecting Ethiopia's ongoing national dialogue conference completely, unambiguously, and with language that leaves no room for misinterpretation. Fano's position is straightforward. A genuine national dialogue has been needed in Ethiopia for a long time. The root causes of this country's political crisis, ethnic marginalization, state violence, broken federalism, years of human rights abuses, all require a real inclusive conversation to resolve. But what is happening in Addis Ababa right now is not that conversation. Fano describes the current process as a political operation designed to rebuild the Prosperity Party's image, not to resolve conflict. It is being conducted under the direct authority of the same government that has been waging war on the Amhara people, displacing millions and overseeing documented atrocities. How can a government that is a party to the conflict also be the neutral convener of dialogue about that conflict? The answer, according to Fano, it cannot, and it is not even trying to be. Fano specifically identified the Ethiopian National Dialogue Commission as lacking the independence required for this role, stating that it was formed without the agreement of major political parties, armed groups, or civil society organizations. It was created by the government for the government's purposes. And the people sitting at that conference table as supposed representatives of the Amhara community. Fano says they have no legitimate mandate from the Amhara people. They represent the ruling party, not the communities in whose name they are speaking. Fano went further. It warned those individuals directly, those who are sitting at this conference claiming to speak for Amhara, that they will be held accountable before the people, before history. That is not a vague warning. That is a political verdict being delivered in advance. Fano also called on the broader Ethiopian public, not just Amhara communities, to refuse to recognize this dialogue as legitimate. It called for cooperation among all resistance and opposition forces to build what it described as a genuine transitional arrangement, one capable of convening a real dialogue after a real change in government. Fano was not alone in this position. The Oromo Liberation Front and the Oromo Liberation Army issued their own statement calling the process a national monologue, Abiy Ahmed, talking to selected audiences about issues that have already been decided. And the Ethiopian Cooperate for Victory in Transition Coalition described it as a mock dialogue one that deliberately excludes armed actors, lacks public legitimacy, and rules out any real discussion of political transition. 3 separate resistance and opposition voices. One verdict: this dialogue is theater. The federal government has brought more than 4,000 delegates to Addis Ababa. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has called it historic. The National Dialogue Commission chairperson has called it inclusive. But not one of the armed groups actually fighting this war is in that room. The Tigray People Liberation Front is not there. Fano is not there. Ola is not there. The Tigray regional government, reinstated by the Tigray People Liberation Front, has rejected the process outright. A peace conference without the people fighting the war is not a peace conference. It is a performance. Now to something that tells you everything about the federal government's real intentions in the coming days. Ethiopian state media, led by Fano TV and government-aligned outlets, has launched what can only be described as a full propaganda offensive against the Tigray People Liberation Front. In the past 48 hours alone, more than 10 separate programs have aired on Fano TV targeting Tigray People Liberation Front leadership. Images of Tigray People Liberation Front leaders presented with blood-soaked backgrounds, framing designed to dehumanize, language designed to prepare an audience for what comes next. This is not journalism. This is a media weapon being deployed ahead of a military operation. When governments prepare their populations for war, they do not lead with military announcements. They lead with media. They build the narrative first. They establish the enemy as a monster. They make the public feel that what follows is not aggression, but necessity. Fano TV's blitz against Tigray People Liberation Front is exactly that preparation. 10 programs in 2 days is not a news cycle. It is a campaign. And Tigray People Liberation Front leaders are not staying quiet in response. They are holding public forums across Tigray Mekelle, Adigrat, Hausen, Shiraro, delivering their own counter-narrative directly to their people. Leaders including Muligeta Gebrehiwot, Alem Gebrewald, Debretsion Gebremichael, and other Central Committee members have all addressed gatherings in different towns, delivering the same core message of Abiy Ahmed's Prosperity Party is not removed from power Tigrayan identity, Tigrayan existence. Everything the people of Tigray have built over generations will be erased. This is not a political prediction. This is what they are telling their people is the existential choice before them. Fight or be eliminated. Both sides are now engaged in full-scale information warfare. Ethiopian state media portrays Tigray People Liberation Front as terrorists. Tigray People Liberation Front leaders portray the federal government as an existential threat. Each side is hardening its own population for the conflict they all believe is coming. Here is where we are. And this is the most important point in today's report. Military mobilization on both sides of this conflict is nearly complete. Fano forces are active and advancing across Amhara and Wulega. Tigray People Liberation Front has conducted region-wide public mobilization forums. Tigray Defense Force has been placed under operational security blackout, no movement information being shared. Ethiopian National Defense Force troops have been repositioned via unscheduled flights from eastern and southern Ethiopia to Addis Ababa for forward deployment. International airlines have begun avoiding Tigray's airspace. Weapons shipments have been tracked arriving in Eritrea. Every indicator military, diplomatic, informational points to two fully prepared sides standing at the edge of a major conflict. So what are they waiting for? The honest answer is the final trigger. And triggers are unpredictable. They can be a drone strike gone wrong, a crossing of a contested borderline, a local commander who makes a decision without authorization, a political statement that crosses the final red line. No external force appears positioned to prevent this. The United States, which previously played a role in pushing for the Pretoria Agreement, is deeply engaged in the Middle East and does not appear focused on Ethiopia in the way it once was. Regional organizations have not produced the diplomatic pressure needed to pull these sides back from the edge. The Tigray People Liberation Front's senior leadership has made their position clear in their own words. There is one option: fight and remove this government. No negotiation, no dialogue, no waiting. The resistance believes it has been patient long enough. The federal government believes it can win militarily. And the Amhara civilians, the Tigrayan displaced, the farmers, the children in hospitals, they are watching two armies prepare while diplomats sit in Addis Ababa and call a conference historic. Finally, a brief but important note about the information environment around this conflict. A well-known Ethiopian opposition-focused YouTube channel, which resumed operating from a European country after its journalists were forced to flee Ethiopia, has gone completely silent in recent days. No videos, no updates, no explanation. This may be a technical issue. It may be a personal matter affecting the team. But the timing raises questions that cannot be dismissed. The Prosperity Party government has a documented history of pursuing Ethiopian journalists and opposition media figures beyond Ethiopia's borders. It has engaged foreign governments to take action against media channels it considers hostile. It has filed cases against journalists in diaspora countries using footage and reports it characterizes as one-sided or inciting. We want to be clear, we do not know what happened to this channel. But we do know the pattern. When opposition channels go silent without explanation in the middle of an escalating conflict, the full range of possibilities must be considered. The Ethiopian government's own media Fano TV runs 10 propaganda programs against Tigray People Liberation Front in 48 hours with no consequences. But diaspora journalists reporting from European cities face pressure, legal challenges, and in some cases, their channels disappear. State media can run unlimited propaganda. Opposition media gets silenced. That is the information environment in which this war is being reported. Let us bring today's full picture together. Fano has formally rejected the national dialogue, calling it a propaganda exercise for a genocidal regime. Ola and the opposition coalition agree. The real players in this conflict are not in that conference room. They are on the front lines. Ethiopian state media has launched a massive propaganda campaign against Tigray People Liberation Front 10 programs in 48 hours, the kind of media preparation that precedes military action. Mobilization on both sides is nearly complete. Tigray People Liberation Front leaders say there is only one option. Fano has called on its supporters to intensify the struggle. The Ethiopian National Defense Force has repositioned troops. The weapons are in place. And in the background, an opposition media channel has gone dark in Europe as the government that controls Fano TV continues its propaganda war with no accountability. The war in Ethiopia is not coming. It is here in the media, in the mobilization, in the weapons, in the soldiers crossing to Fano, in the children in hospital in North Wollo. The only question remaining is when it moves from preparation to full eruption. We will be here when it does. Like, share and subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss an update.